If I saw another day, all I do is scream into the night. Nothing ever tries to change, even if I want to realize. 'Cause I've been sitting here, same old ways, taking up without the same mistake. Darling, when you go away, it won't be as simple for you.
Yo guys, it's Old Man G here back again. We're going to talk about this man. We're going to be talking about this man, but I'm joined by Meeks and Tom, a journalist. How are you guys doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
All right, man.
It's been a rough couple of weeks or so for Man United, couple months.
Yes.
It's light at the end of the tunnel, hopefully. So I'm not too bad.
There is. Guys, thanks guys for watching. If you're new to the channel, to like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter, United X, and smash the notification button for latest Manchester United news and more. Obviously, try and get your questions in. We've got a good panel. But yeah, let's just get straight into it because I'm excited. Shout out to those in the comments as well, Ura. And then Adept Director with Poch in the summer. EFAC says Don Ralph, the Tuke's father. We're going to get to that actually. Nicholas Campbell, I want Ten Hag, but I won't be mad with Poch in the summer. I'll start with you, Neeks, man. What do you think about this appointment? Is this the right appointment? Is this the best thing that United could have done given the circumstances?
I think I've always said for a while now, Zidane was my first choice, but it was made pretty clear. It's been kind of muted at least that Zidane didn't really want to come to the Premier League right now, if at all, but definitely not right now. So I was never overly confident about getting him, yet he was still my first choice. I was worried about the link that we have with Brendan Rodgers. I'm not convinced by Pochettino. So considering everything, and Conte for me was never going to be the right fit. So considering everything, who's available, etc., the stage of the season, once I heard that the interim was the next plan, so it was the interim to the end of the season with permanent at the end of the season. Obviously, I was disappointed, which meant that obviously Zidane wouldn't be coming, but I would have preferred an interim as opposed to going out and getting what I would class as a wrong manager at this time, whether that be a Pochettino or a Brendan Rodgers. So, and the two options that we had for interim were Ralf Rangnick and Ernesto Valverde. I would have been comfortable with either one. Both of them are brilliant. Valverde has obviously managed a super club in Barcelona, winning back-to-back La Liga titles. I would have been happy with him as well. But the fact that the Rangnick one comes with this 2-year consultancy period after, that's actually what's made me most excited, rather than the fact that he's just here for the next 6 months. I think there is some forward planning, which we haven't seen from Man United for at least the best part of a decade. And it gives me hope that not only this season, but maybe in the next few with the next manager, there can be some success for our club.
No, I agree, and well put, Neeks. Tom, what are your thoughts on this whole thing?
Well, like Neeks, I was a big admirer of Zidane. I thought coming into the dressing room where we've got the big egos and the big sort of big time players and everything. I was in the camps of Zidane or Ten Hag, and I thought Ten Hag was going to be hard for mid-season. Zidane seemed logical because he was out of a job, but there's over different contexts to it. The wife, the language, the league. There was far too many things going against it than going forward for it. But like Nick's already just put with Rangnick, this 2-year consultancy role, possibly from what a lot of people are reporting and everything from what I'm hearing is that he's going to be, in a way, going to be overseeing what Fletcher and John Mercer would end up doing in the directorship role, director of football role. So in a way, a managing director, in a consultancy or advisory manner. But the man's got bags of experience. Like I said to you backstage, he turned an energy drink brand in Red Bull into a club that went to a Champions League semi-final in Leipzig. Completely re-envisaged German football. And like I said to you backstage, 3 German coaches. He was in a way an understudy or in a way the godfather, many people put the point across, for Hansi Flick, Tuchel and Klopp. All 3 of them have won domestic leagues. All 3 of them have gone on to win Champions Leagues. So it's clearly he's a footballing man. He's got a footballing brain on and off the field. So he can coach, but he can also run a football club if need be. And logically speaking, in terms of the results on the field, he's going to improve the players, which is going to build the morale. Results will improve under him. I don't want this same coaching staff that we've got in place. That's seriously got to change. Regardless of what the result against Villarreal. I'm sorry, Carrick. Take your payment and go. Exactly the same with Phil and everything. This man has got more knowledge than the whole coaching staff put together when it comes to football and coaching. So I don't want to hear it around, he's going to come in, he's going to work alongside Carrick or anything. They're not going to understand him. They'll say, right, this is the training drills we've been doing for the past, 3 years with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I've never even heard of these drills. That's probably what he's going to say to them.
But Tom, we have to remember, he's not coming right now from another managerial role. So he doesn't have a bunch of coaches necessarily with him lined up ready, I don't believe. So he may have identified certain coaches that he wants in his staff. And I think, especially as we're keeping him after the 6 months, we need to take, basically from now on, he should be consulting. So if he says, I think we should get X, Y, Z coaches in, we need to take that on, whether or not he is going to be the permanent manager after the 6 months. But what I would say is that as he comes in, he doesn't have a bunch of coaches coming with him, a whole staff. So we're going to have to accept that a number of our coaches are going to remain. And he, for me, is the best one to judge to say whether or not they're going to they will stay for any much longer or they're going to be replaced.
He's going to show if they're good enough or not, isn't he, really?
Yeah. I expect Mike Phelan to go because he was only Solskjaer's assistant. He doesn't do the coaching anyway. I'm surprised he's still there because, Solskjaer's not there. So who is he assisting? But someone in the comments just said he's bringing in an assistant. So I expect him to come in with an assistant. They'll have the coaches there, and then maybe one by one, a coach will leave and another one comes in. A coach will leave and another one comes in. But I'm just saying, don't expect Michael Carrick and McKenna to be out the door anytime soon. Temper your expectations, is what I would say on that one.
No. And I agree. And like I said, I think as I was saying on someone's previous stream, I think for me the most thing I'm excited about more so is, as I think Neeks and what you guys have alluded to, is what he does almost after the 6 months. It's that it's that structure going forward, So he obviously, I assume, will be involved in the recruitment of a new manager, someone obviously that he can work with. Possibly, maybe, one of the things that I like about this is just that although Manchester United has been bad at scouting young talent, but clearly the fact that he made Leipzig and especially Leipzig from nothing and aside from the money, they were able to scout a lot of really good and up and coming talent, certainly obviously German talent and then some. So that's really exciting from the perspective of our youth developments. Is he going to be able to promote the likes of Ahmad Alanga and some of the players that I feel have been almost sidelined, to be honest, neglected because I used to even believe the whole kind of yes, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for the youth, etc. But to be honest, yes, okay, he gave Greenwood his chance, although I think Greenwood have got his chance already. But aside from that, really, he didn't really do that much else. Brandon Williams, I think he tried with him. But that's about it, really. He didn't really do much else. So I like to see that the almost similar sort of Chelsea where we do have a philosophy that goes down to youth and we do get good players coming through because we have a much broader network. And I'd like to also think that the whole Brexit FC idea that we've kind of had through this club will begin to disappear. But not that we should ignore English talent, but that we should actually appreciate the talent and certain good talent that's abroad. Yasser, who's also just joined the stream. Yasser, man, thoughts on, I know you have a better mic now, but thoughts on Ralf Rangnick as the interim manager. You there, Yasser?
Let me just say before Yasser comes in.
Okay, cool.
Just in terms of the youth element, I think, in terms of those who made it through consistently playing in the first team, I get that point. But there's a lot of young players in our academy, and I think and a number of young players who we've purchased under Solskjaer through the revamping of our recruitment system, and that can't be denied. And I think there is talent there, such as Hannibal. There was a couple that we bought from Spain. I think it was maybe Real Madrid or Barcelona's academy. I can't remember. The likes of Shoretire, who we've seen.
Yes, Fernandez. The
Fernandez. Diallo from Atalanta. So whilst most of them haven't made it into the first team as of yet, I think the platform has been laid somewhat between Solskjaer, Murta, Fletcher in building a recruitment system that is at least has a structure. Now, whether that structure is perfect, whether that structure is going to remain with Rangnick here, we have to wait and see. But I think, it can be easy to say that only Greenwood came through. Of course, Solskjaer was only here for two and a half years as a permanent manager. So every young player is not going to come through in that period. But I would say, let's see, of those players that we purchased and in the time, the ones that I've mentioned, let's see how many of them make it through to the first team, and then we can really judge whether the work that Solskjaer and the technical directors, what they did, whether it was successful or not. I think it's a bit early now to say whether things were happening or weren't happening. Let's say behind the scenes, so to speak.
That's fair. Some questions. Nicholas says, it's got to be Ten Hag after interim. Let's keep it real. If United board pull this off, that would be huge. Fair enough. Vignesh says, Ten Hag or Poch, guys. We'll talk about that in a second. Also supports that he's bringing in his assistant from Leipzig and Hoffenheim, which I think is a very good, very, very good idea and a good shout. Yeah, he is bringing assistants. Shout out to SMB in the chat and to Kobe. Thank you guys for watching. With the Godfather going to United, I'm not sure Poch will go to United now, especially if he's the club as a consultant. I think we'll see. Yes, this is the best signing in the last decade for United. That could be argued, and low key, this might be the best United made in a while. Even I'm surprised. So yeah, let me actually just put that to the panel actually, because with Rob coming in, does he go or do they go for Pochettino or do they go for Ten Hag? What are your thoughts?
Is Tom still here?
I think he's logged up. Oh, I thought no, it's Yasser that's here. Yasser, you here now?
Oh, but I think he had something in the chat. He said, give him a couple of minutes, sort his mic.
Okay. Go on, Nick.
You know what? Ten Hag, I had Ten Hag personally above Poch. I had 60-40. It wasn't massively, but for certain reasons, in terms of style of play, for me, I would say potential ceiling. I believe. I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I believe Ten Hag has a higher ceiling. I kind of feel like I know what Poch is, and I know how Poch can go. I could be wrong. He could turn the whole PSG season around and win the bloody Champions League. It's not going to happen, is it? But he could do it. I don't know. So I just feel like Ten Hag has a higher ceiling. Based on also how Ten Hag plays, and we know of Rangnick's philosophy, I feel they're more closely aligned than Poch is. So it would seem like a more seamless transition going from Rangnick for 6 months into Ten Hag than going from Rangnick into Pochettino. And not to say we won't go in for Poch, because he's a consultant. He's not the ultimate decision maker. And Pochettino is someone who the club have been looking at for years, really. And I think if the opportunity arises, if those people are still in power, the likes of Ed Woodward, I know he's supposed to be going in December. We don't know what he's actually going to do. If those people are still around, then they may twist the arm of Joe Glazer and get Poch in. But I hope that by getting Rangnick as a consultant, we truly take his opinion on board when making an decision as a manager. And if his decision is Poch, I will trust it more than my assumption about Poch. But as from an outside looking in, I would prefer Ten Hag, definitely.
Fair. Shout out to Rich Sports in the chat, man, I know is going to be live soon. Check out Rich Sports' channel. SB2 says a lot of these older, more experienced players might be in trouble now at United. I think Ragnick might get rid of some of these guys. And that's fair. And like I said, I'm going to, after we've discussed Yassi, you there? You still sorting your mic? You're still sorting his mic. Okay. I'm not even really bothered by at the end of the day, whoever comes in is going to be an improvement under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We know that, whether it's Pochettino or Ten Hag. I think the question is which of these managers can work with the current system, so are those managers going to bring their coaches, it's almost more like it's not so much who comes in my opinion, it's what are they actually going to be working with in the background. If Pochettino, for example, is going to just be working with Carrick and Thingy, then you're like, okay, maybe that might be a bit tricky. But if Ragnick is, say, working with a Ten Hag and they bring in their staff around them, then you think, okay, maybe this might work. So I guess for me, like I'm not that. I think this appointment, and especially him being is more significant in a way than the managerial appointment. I know that sounds weird, but it's just like, the lack we've said for years that it's often been the stuff that's been in the background that's actually hindered Manchester United going forward. So even if you've got a new manager coming in, and while manager might improve things initially, if that stuff behind the background in terms of sporting director, in terms of good coaching on is not fixed, then they're going to run into problems. You never know whether Ollie might have been a bit better, successful if he'd had better coaches and he had this type of sporting director. You don't know, you know. So I just think that I just hope that this club can go forward and actually start acting like a professional football club, and not like a work experience, mates rates type of environment.
It really is. We're playing catch up. We're playing catch up because when Solskjaer came in, there was a lot of things that we were just behind the eight ball with, sports science wise, in terms of the fitness of our players and analyzing them through the data analytics, the recruitment, the way we scouted players. We were still operating in the Fergie era, and that was a long time ago. We haven't moved forward. And I think we took a few steps forward, as I said, in terms of recruitment and analytics, etc., over the last 2 years. But Ragnick is a modern day sporting director. He's a level above many others out there. So you hope that he can even take us further and maybe fast track us into the modern era in those aspects where we've been lacking. And when you bring in coaches like Ten Hag or Pochettino, who are, managers, let's say, in their prime in terms of how long they've been managing and etc. That's what they expect to operate under. Ten Hag's at Ajax, they've got a seamless operational system going on there. Imagine he was to come in and he's working under a prehistoric system of Manchester United. He will struggle to operate and really implement what he wants to implement. And I think by having Ragnick there, it probably makes the managerial search easier, not just in terms of identifying the right person, but making sure that those people that we identify are happy and willing to come because they know they're working under competence. Paul Mitchell for me was one that I always looked at in terms of a possible sporting director for us. He was sporting director at Southampton and Spurs, the other club after Spurs, and he worked with Pochettino. So I thought if we're going to get Pochettino in, someone like Paul Mitchell would be, even though to be fair, the relationship, I don't know if it kind of deteriorated, to be fair, but Pochettino's best recruitment came with Paul Mitchell as a sporting director. Having a competent sporting director will assist whatever coach we get to no end.
That's fair. Remember, guys, like the vid. It helps with the algorithm, the ongoing YouTube algorithm. Just before I go to see if he's in the comments, So FFC says Jesse March could be an interesting option. SMB says here's a wild card name for United, Jesse March. He said he is the Leipzig coach right now. As American, the marketing makes sense, and he could be good. It's interesting. That's interesting. Right now,
Lucien Favre is another one. People have been mentioning as well.
It seems the German coaches now are the ones that seem to be spearheading the modern game right now. So you can make a nice case that they're the forefront. Aside from Guardiola, obviously, so most of the up and coming managers do seem to be, and the top managers do seem to be German. So your Nagelsmans, your Klopps, and your Tuchels, etc. So here's hoping that we can join that elite. Yassi, are you there?
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
We can hear you now. That mic is great. That microphone.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a technical brick, man. Apparently, the whole time I was trying to make this mic work, there's a switch that I just need to flip, and I did not know how to do it till now. So, no, I'm excited, guys. Like, I feel like for once, Man United are doing the things the right way. I just feel like because we know who runs our club and who owns our club, a lot of us United fans, we just wanted a manager in. And this whole idea of this interim, we discarded it. We was like, we don't want an interim. We just want Pochettino, get him in, or whoever. Some people said Rodgers, etc. But this is because I couldn't. I've heard this name being linked to. I heard his name being linked to United, and I couldn't believe that United wouldn't get him. I just that idea I was like, you know what, this is Man United. We just don't do that. The fact that we're getting him in is just mind-boggling to me, and I'm just shocked. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I think this is a better move than getting Pochettino, in my opinion, right now. That's just my general opinion, because this is what I want Man United to do. Is I want Man United to do things the right way, not the easy way, the right way. I want us to do things like a proper club. Bring in a guy that understands football, the guy that can work with this team for 6 months. Then he can assess and decide, along with whoever you want, whether Marta or whoever, decide on the right manager. And if that's Pochettino, that's fair. And the exciting thing is it actually opens up to, I think, our the candidates for the next manager was very limited, because we were just like, okay, this is Man United. They obviously didn't know what they were doing. So we were like, okay, is it Pochettino? Is it Zidane? Is it Rodgers? We didn't know. But now it's like, this guy has connections, guys. This guy has connections to a lot of managers out there. I'm telling you right now, Nagelsmann is a possibility. Julian Nagelsmann over at Bayern Munich is a possibility. He's the one who brought Julian Nagelsmann to RB Leipzig. He's the one. Yeah. He has close connection with it. Even Hansi Flick is not even a possibility. Even if say Rangnick says, I'm going to stay in until from throughout the World Cup, and then once the World Cup ends, the Hansi Flick can take over. Like, anything is possible, honestly, guys. Because now we have someone that is vastly connected with the footballing world, and will bring out more solutions than the obvious one that anyone could come up with. I
totally agree. I think I felt a lot of Man United fans were saying, "Oh, just get someone permanent now." And I'm like, that's the worst one we can do is rush this decision, because then you're stuck with this person, and Man United just don't like getting rid of people easily. You're stuck with this person for another 3 years, and you potentially miss out on the person you actually wanted because you decided to go all in. For me, unless it was Zidane or Luis Enrique, I was more than willing to wait for the summer. It might make this season a bit more tricky. The players it's like there might be some players that you actually lose because the stability is not really there. All those kind of things. But I just felt that you get to the summer, Pochettino's still available in the summer if you wait there, if you really want him. Ten Hag becomes available. If Italy don't qualify for the World Cup, maybe Mancini becomes available. Like, there's a lot that can happen. There's managers right now at clubs that may not be at clubs come the summer because things have happened during the season, and you say, you know what, let's go and get him. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but Tuchel got sacked from PSG and joined Chelsea. Imagine, let's say Nagelsmann gets sacked from Bayern Munich. Let's just say it happens. He now becomes an option. He may become an option anyway, but I just think give ourselves a little breathing space. When Jose was sacked, they said to us, Solskjaer will be the interim to the end of the season, and we'll make a decision on the permanent manager then. In that time, we'll get a sporting director or director of football. Solskjaer went on this run for 3 months, and the whole plan changed. Given the job, no sporting director needed, and it's like, breathe. It's been a bad start to the season. The title race is over already, but do we want to then ruin every other title race for the next 3 years because of one bad start to the season? You don't want to do that. I think this is actually the best decision for me, other than getting Zidane right now.
Absolutely. And then just to add on to that, the best thing about this guy is, from what I've known, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it's just video clips and all that stuff. And I know him, but I think I'm doing a disservice to say I know him very well. That's just so. But from what I know is that he's the type of guy that he's the type of guy that will come in and he will say, no, I don't want to be the permanent manager. The problem I had with the interim is if we bring in an interim and the club, they do well, and the club, decides, what, let's just keep the interim manager. This guy will say, no, I don't want to be the manager. I'm going to step. I want to be a consultant, find a manager, and here's my opinion about who the manager is. And I like that. It's like, he's not that type of guy that says, I want to manage Man United. He's like, no, I want to come in, stabilize Man United, and actually help Man United in the structural sense. Like, that's just that. And if you actually think about it, that's like, that's like it's a fairy tale. Actually, it's like that type of people don't exist in football regularly. A lot of times, a lot of the managers we're linked to in terms of interim are managers that, in my opinion, will want to be managers. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I mean, I'm actually shocked. I didn't think we're gonna. I didn't even believe we knew who he was. That's how very little I thought about the people that run our football club. I didn't think they knew who he was. So yeah, absolutely. I'm more than excited, to be honest. Absolutely more than excited. So yeah.
Abdullahi, before we go into the next one, Abdullahi, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. How you doing, sir?
As a Chelsea fan, bro, obviously, because as an outsider looking in, I know you've been one of the more level-headed Chelsea fans when it comes to assessing the United situation, actually being a bit more like real instead of just sort of bantering. But how do you view this disappointment from Manchester United? What would you see as an outsider, like a Ralf, implementing and succeeding at United?
Were you in the labor room when he gave birth to Thomas Tuchel?
I said it. I never said it. I said that you guys need a structure, and bringing in this man is a structure. And now I'm happy about it. The reason is because there's actually a plan in the club going forward in terms of the recruitment of what they needed, going forward in terms of manager they needed right now. But right now is the issue with it is with the Glazers or the Edward would give him the full power, because we know him very well. He needs the full power to run whatever he wants to run in every club he goes to. For me, watching him is better in sporting director than a manager for me.
Okay.
Because when he becomes a sporting director, he has but as a manager, it's not that of that world-class manager that you guys are wanting. Yes, I know he's an interim manager. He will improve player in terms of making them disciplined, yes. But in terms of understanding how this team wants to play and everything, it's not that of that great manager. But in terms of sporting director going forward, implementing, cleaning up all those bullshit happening in the club, this man here is the best. He is the godfather of game pressing. Everything you want, he is the godfather of everything. But in terms of manager and everything, it's not. I don't think he's the right man in terms of that ability. But getting right now is the first priority, and that is a big blessing going for as a United fan. You should be happy. For me, this man, you should be happy because you're getting the best out of the best of the best. It costs Tuchel. Thomas took it in Tuchel, Klopp, Nagelsmann. We also coach this young boys manager. What's his name? David Wagner.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, those are the manager who coached under him, and those manager who coached under him has become so successful in everywhere they go. So it's not just a medical man. He is a well experienced man. He's the godfather of all football. So yeah, the respect has to be there because he knows what he's doing. So you have to give him the respect he deserves.
Bergtard here says, Abdullah, remember me mentioning Man U should get Ralf Rangnick. Ralf Rangnick with full control is a really big dub. I think anyone will disagree because I don't think anyone here is say that Ralf Rangnick as a manager is world class and United are going to somehow win a treble. I think a lot, certainly from me, and I'm sure even the panel can agree that I think the excitement
Victor said it. Yes, Victor said it on my stream. Yeah, he did.
The excitement, I think, comes more from what he will do with this football club going forward structurally, and who will bring in all that sort of stuff like that, and the philosophy and so on, than necessarily that in these 6 months. You know, I mean, it can't be worse. It's probably not going to be worse than Solskjaer.
No, it's much better than Solskjaer.
But I don't think any United fan here is realistically thinking he's going to win the Champions League, or he's going to win the Premier League, or anything like that. You know, I don't think that's going to happen. You know,
what you have to be realistic about in terms of the UCL going forward now. See, there are some matches you guys will lose that because this match is style of play takes a lot of time to implement into it takes a lot of, I've watched this man very well before when we sacked Lampard when they want to go for Ragnick. I was like, you guys, we can't get Ragnick. Why? Because of Marina Ganaskia. We cannot get this man. Because if we get Ragnick, Ganaskia has to step down from her job. I have to go back to the one printing shirt. She's the one printing shirt for Chelsea Football Club. She'll have to go back to her shirt printing. That's why we don't get this man. Imagine we get this man with Tuchel, it's game over. Because they know each other very well, they complement each other. That's the reason.
Because you lot sounded him out, didn't you? You wanted it.
He said he wants to take over, or he said he will take over on one condition. He wants to have a power. And Ganaskia said, heck no. Immediately, no. He said, why? He said, no, because I want a long time. That was the reason immediately after him.
And that's what happened when we spoke to him in 2019. And it was the same thing. He said, I want power. And Ed Woodward said, no. But of course, Ed Woodward was on his way out, apparently. Supposedly. I'll believe it when I see him actually out the door. I think because of our everything. Listen, we've got 4 bodies on Ed Woodward's door. Moyes, Van Gaal, Mourinho, Solskjaer. He could not sit there and say, no, sorry, I want to keep this power. Your power has done nothing. Absolutely nothing to benefit United.
Exactly. So, in terms of the UC, I think United will do well because this man, his system takes time, and you guys be happy. The only player that I think will suffer is Cristiano Ronaldo for me.
Before I'll go into Absalom because that's actually the next thing I wanted to just touch on. And I'll start with Neeks again. Was that like with just focusing on the interim period right now in his next 6 months? Which 3 players? And I'll go to everyone on the panel. So just only 3 players. Do you think that will improve under Ralf during his interim tenure anyway? So Neeks, you wanna start?
I think Sancho is one.
Okay.
And I'm not saying he's going to improve because Ralf is here. I think generally he was always going to take time for him to get better. And it just now happens to be under Ralf. But I think Sancho will definitely improve. I think Fred could be a bit more integral. The way that he wants to play with gegenpressing, Fred already does that. But if we do that in a much more structured way, then it will even enhance his abilities even more. Even against Villarreal, the way he was winning the ball up higher up as opposed to in the pivot. And we saw we got a goal from it, and then the second goal we got from him winning a bit deeper. The third player improve. I'm not sure, I'm not sure. I mean, there's a lot of players that just need to play better in general. If we're saying directly linked to
Van de Beek.
But I gotta say that. Yeah, I think I'll say a lot of players who are going to improve generally because we've just been so bad. But yeah, directly because of him and his system, I think Van der Beek's probably another. We know that he's a very system-based player coming through the Ajax academy. So yeah, I think I'll go for those 3.
Yasser, who do you think?
I agree with the players that Nick said, but I feel like there'll be more players that'll also be improved as well. I think Bruno Fernandes, man, the guy presses by himself, and you're bringing a pressing manager. I mean, he's just only going to get better. Just imagine Bruno Fernandes in the more structural, pressing type of manager. I mean, he literally does the pressing by himself. He's like a one man presser. So I think Bruno Fernandes would just go. I think that he will just flourish. Absolutely. I mean, he's already fantastic, and I feel like he's very very underrated. But I think he's gonna explode in my opinion.
Okay.
I think I don't know. I think I agree with Sancho, and I definitely agree with Fred. I think the two that might surprise people would be McTominay and Rashford. I think those
Okay.
two. I think because the thing is like Rashford is immensely talented.
Yep.
The only problem that everyone always had with Rashford was his decision making, and we're talking about a manager that will come in, will play to Rashford's strength in terms of. When we lose the ball, try to get the ball back and quickly as we possibly can. Go in a counter. I mean, go in a counter, move the ball fast. Very direct. I think like Rashford will benefit heavily from it. A lot of time, I think a lot of the problems that Rashford faced, especially under Oli, is Oli put him in a situation where he had to think too much. And Rashford is a lot better player when he doesn't have to think too much. When he has to do less thinking, the kid is unbelievable. So I think Rashford and so it's just something about McTominay that every manager loves. Every manager loves McTominay. I mean, Mourinho loves him. Sir Alex Ferguson loves him. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer loves him. I mean, he is the one player that I just feel like every manager will love. Us fans, we might not understand why, but I don't know. There's just always something about McTominay that I just feel like he's so raw, and at times as fans we are very impatient, especially with McTominay. But I just feel like McTominay will be another player that will probably be very surprising. He will surprise us, especially under Ralf Rangnick. And so yeah, those are the three players: Rashford, McTominay, and Bruno Fernandes. Yeah.
So that's EFAC. I went with the fourth thing, but yeah, that the his high on Sancho. You like to think that Sancho will improve. The wingers are going to flourish. I'm not sure about Wan-Bissaka, but we'll see. One thing about Rangnick is his philosophy. Going pressing is the modern day football, and the scouting of players will improve. I agree. Abdullahi, which three players, as an outsider Chelsea fan, do you think will improve?
You'll be surprised of the players I will mention.
Okay.
The players United, I think apart from Bruno, Sancho, who are rated very highly, I think most United players are kind of in terms of laziness. They have laziness in them, e.g. Antonio Machia. You guys are laughing. It's too.
Okay. No, I agree.
He's very, very talented, but he's lazy. With this man here, Martial will have that potential. His potential will go very highly because I remember under Wenger, he has an immense talent. But with this man here, his potential will kind of improve. And if you want him to press, Martial is young. He will press. He will run. The only person that I think will suffer is Ronaldo, because Ronaldo he won't be able to play, but to score goals, he will be there. That is why this man is good, because he can switch off the formation to fit in to Ronaldo's style of play. It doesn't do the game pressing. It doesn't to be all game pressing. Bruno and the rest can do the pressing. Your job is just, once you don't do pressing, once you go into the final third, just lay off the ball to Ronaldo. He will finish it up. That's the job. It doesn't need to. If we run, all the players we run. Just all you have to do, just tell Ronaldo, use those. Don't come in the midfield. Just stay in the striking position. We'll get the ball to you. Finish your game over. We'll get you the ball. Your job is what? Once you get that ball, just score. That is your job.
I so hope that our results improve dramatically, because a lot of people, I don't know if anyone in the stream is any of them, but who felt that Ronaldo was the problem or a part of the problem. And I was like, for me, what Ronaldo did was highlighted the limitations in the coaching setup at Manchester United. The inability to play on the front foot with the ball, which Ronaldo has to benefit from. He's not going to benefit in a team where we're sitting back, playing on the counter attack and all that kind of that nonsense, right? You know, chasing down. He's not going to do all of that. And I want to see if with a better manager, a better coaching, better system, that we can say, yes, Ronaldo's not going to do that. But Ronaldo's never done that pressing. Even in his prime, we had Tevez and Rooney and Park Ji-sung and Darren Fletcher doing all that running. At Real Madrid, Benzema was sacrificed for Ronaldo. Yet we bring Ronaldo in at 36 years old and we're like, why is he not pressing? He's never pressed. And now he can't even press physically. Of course he's not, but there's 10 other players on the pitch. Let those 10 other players do that work and Ronaldo will score the goals. And
Nick, sorry for cutting short. And I think the best part of it is, I think Tuchel did it in PSG very well and a little bit in Dortmund. It is the 4-2-2-2 system. That system will improve Ronaldo a lot, because when you have a 4-2-2-2 system, you can have two strikers in terms of Cavani or Ronaldo, Rashford or Ronaldo, Greenwood or Ronaldo. So those players that can press, Ronaldo's job is just to be the main man. So those one it can be like a 4-4-2-1-1-1. It's like a 4-4-2 but 4-2-1-1. That's gonna that number one behind Ronaldo will be the one creating. It's not the creator, but it's mainly look like a creator because you have Bruno in the pitch. So Bruno, all this will do the job. In for him just to score the goals. That's why I say this player will improve a lot. Player like Martial will improve because he's lazy, but he has talent. He will improve. And I think player like I also think Luke Shaw will have a little bit of difficulties because I don't think the way Rangnick plays fitting what Luke Shaw want to do as a player in terms of left back, because Rangnick wants his player to go forward, come back, go forward, come back, go forward, come back, boom, like what Robertson is doing for Liverpool. Like, that's what Rangnick wants. I do not think Luke Shaw can do that. I don't think so. Luke Shaw cannot do that. That's why.
Do you think Tellez can do that?
Yeah, I think Tellez can do that. I think that's a player that I think will benefit more for Rangnick instead of Luke Shaw. The fans love Luke Shaw ahead of Tellez, but they have to understand this is a different regime of football.
Listen, you see, for me, I've got players that I like, prefer this, that, whatever. But I give the manager the choice, the decision, and ultimately it's going to be judged on that. And it was the same with Solskjaer. People are, if he wanted to play McTominay and Fred, let him play McTominay and Fred. It will cost him in the end. It's his job that's on the line. And granted, Rangnick's only here for 6 months as a manager, but I trust that if he wants to play Luke Shaw, I'm not going to question it unless Luke Shaw's performances are so bad. But if he wants to drop Luke Shaw, I'm not going to question it either. Like, you have to give the man the opportunity to do his job.
Exactly. That's my point. Exactly.
A lot of people already been saying, get rid of that person, get rid of that. I'm like, well, what if Rangnick wants them? What if he likes them? I'm just like, let's just see in it, because maybe you don't want to play Ronaldo, or maybe he doesn't.
Before we head off, Neeks, just a quick final question, bro. Which other players do you think, let's say 3 players, so go on, but 3 players do you think will or may suffer under Rangnick?
There are plenty. There are plenty in your team. Not every player.
What do you think, Neeks?
Pogba might.
Okay.
Especially if he's if his head's not really at Man United, if he's already thinking about leaving, etc. Martial, I know you talk about the talent. Has he got the will, the desire to actually do the work that he needs to do? If he does it, his performance will be great. But if he doesn't, then he's going to be on the bench. It'll be interesting to see what happens with the right back situation, because Wan-Bissaka has his deficiencies. Dalot can't defend. So you're stuck between a rock and a hard place with the options that we've got. I can't see us making any major transfers in January. If a midfielder comes available, maybe. But other than that, this is the squad we're stuck with. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the right back situation.
Fair enough. Thanks, Neeks, man. Yes,
all right, man. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you for having on. Make sure you check out, for those who are watching, check out Neeks Sports, Neeks channel, man. Please
absolutely,
follow
man.
him on Twitter and head over to his YouTube channel and subscribe, man. Neeks, thank you so much
for
joining, man. Appreciate it.
Take care, guys. Yeah.
Yes, man. What are your thoughts?
Three players that might struggle. Do you know? I don't know if you guys talked about this before I got here, but the one player I am so fascinated to see how well he does under Ragnar is Maguire. I feel like with Maguire,
Mm,
because he's the captain of Man United, because
mm,
it's not his fault, but we did pay 80 million for him. Um,
mm,
and he's supposed to be a world class center back. People
mm,
might say, "Oh, he's a good center back," but for what Man United need, he's supposed to be a world class center back. Um,
mm,
I think he has the most to lose. I think, in my opinion, I think he has everything to gain and he has everything to lose. That's just my general opinion. Because if nothing changes with Maguire, um, the only thing that Maguire had was Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Was the fact that he was Ole
mm,
Gunnar Solskjaer's captain.
mm,
He's one of the leaders in England and Southgate.
mm,
I mean, Southgate is not managing Man United now, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not managing Man United now. You have a
mm,
completely different perspective, different
mm,
view. Another person that has completely different view about the game and everything.
mm,
So if Maguire's deficiencies that everybody knows about is is not at the level that Ragnar believes that Man United in terms of a center back should be, especially him because he's a captain and he's supposed to be a leader. I think I think
I'm going to
I
just bring up EFC Horns. This is the key. Maguire. This is the important thing.
yeah.
Maguire is not the player that can play. Bailly can do it. Varane possibly can do it to a certain extent. But Maguire and even Lindelof. So though Lindelof is a good ball playing a defender. He's I think he's got maybe 2 assists this season because he can go forward. Maguire cannot play in a high line, and that's going to be the big issue, I think, with the Gergen press. So
And,
yeah. But go on.
and yeah, and then because in the modern day, if we're gonna play like you said, with if you're trying to play a pressing game, you have to play a high line.
Mm,
I just don't
mm,
see. Is this not possible? And then I've been watching Ralf Rangnick's videos. He said there's no such thing as a little pressing. Either you press or you don't. And he
mm,
could use the analogy of there's no such thing as being partially pregnant. It's either you're pregnant or you're not type of thing. So
mm,
I just I just don't see how, and I might be 100% right. I just don't see how Man United survives this. In my opinion, I just
mm,
don't know how. Is he good at, say, maybe reading the game at times? Maybe, sure. If you think so, is he maybe good aerially? Yeah, sure. Maybe could he be vocal? Sure, but in terms of the system that Ragnick plays,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see how you can carry Maguire and
mm,
Ronaldo if Ronaldo is going to play all the time. So I think he might have a lot to lose. I think so. I
mm,
think he will struggle. Um, him, I think Wan-Bissaka will struggle
mm,
if he doesn't improve. I mean, that's just the reality. Wan-Bissaka just has to improve going
mm,
forward. If he cannot
mm,
improve, he will not play for Man United much longer. It's that simple,
mm,
guys. I love
mm,
Wan-Bissaka, one of my favorite players, but that's just the reality.
mm,
And another player that, see, I might say this, and I love this guy. He's in my opinion, he's a legend to the in for Man United. I absolutely
mm,
love him. But honestly speaking, one thing that really does bother me about him is he doesn't get off his line as much. And David De Gea, I don't know it,
mm,
and this goes back to the whole Maguire thing. You're gonna play a high line with Maguire, and you're gonna have David De Gea behind him that doesn't like getting off his line.
mm,
I just don't. If David De Gea needs to become more of a sweeper keeper, and
mm,
is he that type of keeper who, I don't know? Can he be? I don't know. So
mm,
he's a fantastic shot stopper, but Abdullah will actually tell you there's
Mm-hmm.
more to the game now in terms of being a keeper than being a shot stopper. You have to
mm,
be pretty much coming off your line, and especially because a lot of teams push up, and when they push up, they will leave spacing behind. And as a keeper, you need to cover for your center backs, and that's something that David De Gea doesn't do much. Um, which is crazy because he's technically our player of the year, but that's also gonna be. I think De Gea might struggle as well. So De Gea, Maguire, and Wan-Bissaka, those three, they might surprise me. And the person that most likely I feel like that can completely work on is De Gea. De Gea just needs to be more brave. More brave coming in, reading the game, coming out, kicking the ball out, stuff like that. I think that's something that can be worked on in terms of a keeper because he's an unbelievable keeper in terms of shot stopping. But the other two, I just feel like that's not their game. That's just simply for Wan-Bissaka and Maguire, for what Ragnick wants to do for Man United, it's just simply not their game.
No, that's fair enough. And I think, and some of it, let's be real, is part of this kind of, as I was saying, Brexit FC type of, let's be real, English talent, local talent, etc., etc. And I'm not saying the English talent is bad, but at times there was an element, especially with Ollie, that, okay, he played Fred a lot of time, but let's be real, Rashford, McTominay, Maguire, Luke Shaw, and Wan-Bissaka, so, half of the squad, was essentially, and Henderson to a point, although David De Gea's form has been so good, half of the squad was effectively English, so, and playing those players are not into form was an issue, at least I think anyway. Abdullahi, who do you think are the players who you think will struggle under Ragnick?
I love what Yossi said. I think, like I said, Ragnick is better more in a technical director, sporting director than the manager because him as a manager, because as a manager, you need to understand the game of football right now. You need to read the game very well. You need to understand when to make substitution. Those stuff every manager must have it. I don't think Ragnick has that ability in terms of overseeing the group of players, in terms of reading the game when everything goes wrong. But in terms of sporting ability, he is good because that's his actual job whenever he goes to. So I think Ronaldo will suffer more because Ronaldo will not press. He will score the goal. And I think I understand Wan-Bissaka, but I think Ragnick does it in the club he goes to. And I think Tuchel has done it also too because Tuchel is the disciples of Ragnick and also club also too. Nagelsmann does the same thing too. If you guys play back three, Wan-Bissaka will be very useful in the back three. Because if you play like a 3-5-2, because Ragnick will switch to a 3-5-2, he does it a lot. He can play 3-5-2, can play 4-2-2. So if you go to a back three, so Ragnick will play Lindelof, Wan-Bissaka, and Eric Bailly. You don't need to play Maguire. That's how the three players can play because one is they are very Wan-Bissaka may not be like that kind of type of personality, but Ragnick will change him in terms of his passing, and it's very good in terms of 1v1. Ragnick like someone who is very good 1v1. But when the player beats you, knows he has that quick instant to recover fast. Wan-Bissaka has it. So playing the 3-5-2 could help a lot because now you gonna have that lot beside him, or he could switch Sancho. People like Sancho, you could play Sancho as a right wing back. I've seen Tuchel do it a lot in Chelsea. He does it a lot in Dortmund too. When you play players, you can just manage Dembele together behind Aubameyang. So Ragnick could do the same thing by playing the 3-5-2, switching Sancho to more of a instead of winger, play more as an inside forward to come into the midfield. So it will be the one supporting Wan-Bissaka. If Wan-Bissaka like a loose guy kind of forget himself as a defender, he'll be able to cover up for him also too. Or you can also play Rashford there. So that variety of formation Ragnick could play that will suit the system. And I think every player in that team will be given a chance to prove themselves. Now depends on the player if you're gonna take those chances and improve as a player. He will be giving everybody chances, like what Tuchel does. When he came in, he gave everybody chances.
Blank slate, exactly.
Prove yourself. Exactly. If you're not good enough, the fans will see it with their eyes. This one is not going to get them out of the club. Here we go. We are based on Alonso. Look at Alonso now under Tuchel. Look at him now. So everybody will be giving.
I think that's the thing. Sorry, no, that's the key thing. I think it's a completely blank slate, and now you're not going to have like like when with all the novelist things, you could say, okay, it's not, it's the manager, it doesn't have tactics, blah,
exactly.
blah, blah. But now that isn't going to be an excuse anymore. So we can't be like, oh, Ralf doesn't have tactics, such and such doesn't have that. Now, as you said, it's on the players to be like, right, if you don't perform between now till the end of the season, it's on you and not Ralf at the end of the day, you know. So as Colin, you know, shout out to Colin McManus says, Harry lost his form, which I agree. That's why I feel he should be dropped. De Gea has just found it. Exactly, he's been very good. I love Wan-Bissaka. Let's see what happens. Brand new injection, and this is the key thing. The way I see it, he gives everyone a chance. Like there's no hierarchy, there's no past experience. Everyone gets a chance by, you know, everyone that's fit, Dallo, whoever is in the squad, they all get a chance. And then basically, you know, within at least a good, you know, month or so, you can figure out. And the thing about United going forward as well is that after the Chelsea, even Arsenal game, you know, United have a fairly decent run. You know, we've already topped the group in the Champions League. So because I think Atalanta beat Drew with Young Boys. So we don't even have to even worry. Even if we lose the game against Young Boys at Old Trafford, it doesn't matter. We'll still top the group. So essentially, I'm saying is a few games where you can see that United have a good run where Ralf can basically, after Chelsea and Arsenal, where Ralf essentially in December, where Ralf can basically use the team.
So after Chelsea Arsenal, who do you play next in December? After Chelsea Arsenal, who do you play?
I think it's Palace, and then it's like mid teams like, you know, like Norwich and so on and so forth. But there's no. I can't. Because we would have played all of the big teams. Because we played Liverpool, we played City, we played Spurs, we played Chelsea and Arsenal. So we played all of those. We played Leicester. So it's a lot of the mid-table to bottom teams that we'll be playing.
So I'm saying that now. So you play Chelsea, Arsenal, and
Arsenal.
You play
Palace. I think it is.
Wait, hold on. Man United. Okay, you play Palace on Sunday. After Palace, you play Norwich. It's an easy team to
Norwich. Exactly. Yeah, which should be
Brentford.
Fine, so Brentford.
So those are easy teams to. But my issue my issue with that is,
go on.
You will lose. There's some matches that you're gonna lose. This is where the fans. You can't come into when manager lose games. You can't just go at him. It's not good enough. But people say it's the genius. No, you don't do that because this is a new manager and this is a new regime. You have to trust see, if you make mistake, accept it. Teacher does it in Chelsea when you make mistake, we don't get mad because we know is that experience of a manager. Same thing with Ralf Rangnick now. You will make mistake regardless.
Guys, I'm a head out, by the way. Abdullahi, Red Devil Studio. Thank you guys so much. Yes,
take care, man.
Have a good one, guys. Have a good one.
Take care, man. See you later, bro.
Yes.
Thanks for coming on. We're going to be rounding up. We're going to be rounding up in a second anyway, because I know you've got your.
This is where the fans have to understand. Manager make mistake regardless of how genius you are. But this is fans have to like calm down. You don't need to like go at him if you make mistake because he may lose to Brentford, he may lose to maybe Palace. Now you're gonna go at him that why do you lose to this team? Man, this team. I can understand that because it's a new manager. He just came to the new league. Let him adapt to the new league first before you give him a judge. You understand what I'm saying? So the fans need to have the expectation either in the middle or not too high a little bit, not too high, but he has to be like normal in the way you kind of give him the leeway. If you understand what I'm saying.
That's fair enough. Edla Laz says Maguire and Amber do not have the personality of football intention to play for United. I hate to say that about Wan-Bissaka because I love him. That's fair enough. Arsenal next Thursday, yes, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. So ultimately, like United do have.
It's not going to talk about this weekend. It's not talking about this weekend.
Yeah, it's Chelsea. It's Chelsea. This.
No, it's not taking over. Ralf is not taking over this weekend.
No, he's not. No. It'll be Carrick in charge, and then it'll be Rangnick for Monday. So he'll be in charge for Arsenal, basically. Okay. So which is good. So that's probably a good sign for Chelsea that they can sort of because you'd expect.
I would love to see the predecessor I love to see the predecessor and the successor work together.
Yeah, I know. That's the and I'm sure there'll be good.
FA Cup maybe in the second leg at Old Trafford.
Yeah, and they'll come to Old Trafford. I'm sure there'll be a very good. I think that's the irony. That's one of the things. You know, Liverpool and Chelsea, the managers there. there's going to be a good respect between Klopp and Tuchel, you know, as managers and stuff like that, you know. So it's going to be nice at least to see a bit of respect between the managers, because you know that Klopp will respect Rangnick, and so will Tuchel as well, you know. So Pep probably doesn't care, but it is what it is. But yeah, thanks everybody. We're going to run up the stream now. Thanks so much for everyone who was watching. Really, really appreciate it. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter, United X, and smash the notification button. Base Manchester News. We are doing a Chelsea review, and Abdullahi, with you and HH tomorrow from 9 o'clock, and want to do a United versus Chelsea preview
on his channel.
So we're gonna stream to both his and my channel. So I'm gonna
I'm doing one tomorrow too on my channel.
Okay, let me know what time, because I'll try.
What time is it for the
as well?
HH? Because I want to bring HH to my channel. It's been
I put it at 9 o'clock.
Okay,
like
that's
around
fine.
this time,
Okay
basically.
That's okay with me.
Right. Have a nice day, everyone. Take
Peace.
care and cheers. Cheers.